Hello and welcome back to another OMNIHEROES video. In this video we're just going to review the unit Sandra. Now Sandra, when she first came out, was a very effective and different type of unit, and we'll go over exactly why she was different and effective in the video. So just to begin with, her typings or her synergies are Mystifiers. So we've been through Mystifiers before. At the start of battle, applies 5 stacks of corrode on all enemies. If you have 5, bear with me. Sorry, I had to cough. So it's 5 stacks of corrode on all enemies. Each 1 stack deals damage equal to 12% of the ally team's average attack every round. All allies restore 25% of their own max HP every round as well. So a good synergy, unfortunately limited by the number of corrode stacks and the damage that corrode does. It can be increased, but again, it's not something that stands out compared to like Glorians or Ethereal synergies. Now, Shadow Axe synergies, for me, the weakest of all synergies in the rune synergy. So it increases dodge rate. The faction synergies increases dodge rate of all allies by 15%, which I think would be the best ability in the game, and Shadow Axe would be my favourite team if that was upped to 30-50%. And then when one ally unit dies, there's a 50% chance to increase the attack of all of other allies by 20% for 3 rounds. So when a unit dies, that is not a good. That's not a good passive to have, if I'm honest, or not a good trigger activation, because you don't want your units dying most of the time. There are certain circumstances, say in the Phantoms or the Avengers team, where it can be useful, but she is neither part of the Avengers nor part of the Phantoms. And then finally, Monarch, which I believe it personally is the best of all of these synergies. So Monarch being ally units will not take damage exceeding 30% of their max HP in a single instance of damage. Every 1% of HP the target loses increases damage boost by an additional 2% up to 100. So it is very useful for me. It's both defensive and offensive as well. So it's a good synergy and fits in well with the Mystifier's team. So just something to keep in mind. Now, with the abilities that she has, so her ultimate ability, Sandra summons the Ghostly Coast Guard to deal up to 318 physical damage to all enemies, 318% physical damage, and summons 1 Spectral Seahorse into an empty allied slot. With the change that they have done over the course of the past couple of weeks, you now get an additional slot if you were to equip Sandra. So I would suggest that it's greatly increased the power of Sandra specifically. Now, casting round 2, cooldown is 3 rounds. The Spectral Seahorse inherits 50% of Sandra's stats, so it is a mini Sandra effectively, and the tougher she is, the tougher the Seahorse will be as well. And the Spectral Seahorse does not initiate attacks, but when taking an action, it increases the max HP of all allies by 10% for 5 rounds, stacking up to 10 times. So if it does take, say, 2 actions per round, then you can get the full buff, so the full, effectively 100% max HP increase, which is very effective when it comes to the survivability of the team. The second ability is Wicked Tide. Sandra unleashes a vicious wave to deal up to 115% physical damage to backline enemies, and summons a Spectral Seahorse into an empty allied slot as well. It is limited to 1 per attack, so 1 Spectral Seahorse on the ultimate, and 1 Spectral Seahorse on the secondary attack as well. The Spectral Seahorse again inherits 50% and does not initiate, so same as the first one, except it's less of an attack. Now the next one, after dealing damage, Sandra has a 100% chance to apply 2 stacks of corrode to the target for 3 rounds. That, for me, is better than, say, other units, other Mystifier's units who will add corrode stacks on their ultimate and also on their secondary attack as well, because it's after dealing damage. So that can be from anything. There's a new passive synergy and relic, which allows if you receive healing, you will deal damage. That's in the season synergies, but after dealing damage, Sandra has a 100% chance to apply 2 stacks of corrode for 3 rounds. Now, if you unlock her 11 stars, every 1% increase in cure rate additionally increases attack. It's not something that is required, but would be very helpful with her seahorses and also with her attacks as well as the corrode. Now, when Sandra is deployed, each stack of corrode applied by our allies will additionally reduce the target's max HP by 4% for 3 rounds, and then the cure rate goes up again by 1%. So it's just something to keep in mind when using Sandra. This is the biggest passive by far for her specifically, because when she's deployed, each stack of corrode applied will give max HP of 4%. So effectively, if you can apply 10 stacks of corrode, which is the I think is the minimum really required on a Mystifier's team, then it'll be 40% HP. Now, if you can get above that, if you can increase your corrode stack limit, say to 20%, then you can get 80% health off just by applying your corrode stacks and just by playing the game as is intended with Sandra. So it's up to 80% off each each enemy unit. So that is Sandra, her talents. I've not got them up to legendary, I've only got them up to epic at the moment, but it does increase cure rate by 30% and increases control rate by 30% as well, and 15% respectively for epic talents. And that plays in well with the secondary part of the passive, so every 1% in cure rate, so you would effectively get a 30% attack buff and then another 30% attack buff with a total of 60% attack if she were to have her full talents, which is a significant buff for her. Now her runes here, we do have I've got her all as dodge runes, as is recommended, and her exclusive skill, or Sandra's rune skill if you have the exclusive. When an ally takes critical damage, Sandra has 33% chance to reduce the damage taken by all allies for 10% by 2 rounds, and then has a 100% chance to reduce the damage taken by 10% for 2 rounds, stacks up to 5 times. So with this rune skill, effectively you can have a 50% damage reduction if you were to take critical damage, which is very effective against teams who focus on critical, like for example the Ethereals. So very useful to counter ethereal synergies. She can increase damage reduction for all allies by 50% at the absolute pinnacle, which is a lot, especially in Monarchs as well, in Monarch synergy. So just something to keep in mind there with her. Her exclusive runes, they're not required because the main focus of her abilities will be based around the corrode impact. But if you can, if you do have spare runes and you don't have any other units you want to prioritize, Sandra's still a good choice because of the damage reduction as well. So that is Sandra in full. I won't go into the awakened tree because I've not unlocked it fully yet, but she does increase damage, increase damage, increase damage, increase damage, increase damage. So nothing special there, no other abilities like say Atrops, where she will add an additional heal on with the awakened tokens. So yeah, that is Sandra in full. Now let me jump into some gameplay and we'll just see how well she performs. So we're in the Lost City. This is chapter 233. stage 1, and we're going to have a look at Sandra's abilities. So, Sandra herself, and we're going to have a look at, we also need some Shadow Arcs and some Monarchs in here as well. So let's do a full Mystifier build. We will disregard her other synergies, so we'll go with, say, Franz, Emily, we can go with Talos, and also Dullahan as well. Now the reason that I've gone for this setup instead of using some of the other units like Astrid or like Catherine is because a lot of people, they may not have access to these units, so I'm just going to show how Sandra works in a basic Mystifier setup. We will be using some of the legendary relics just because I do have access to them, but if you were to run a basic Mystifier setup, you would need the cursed jar, whatever it is, the book, and then you can use this one, but also potentially you can look at using where is it, Lantern as well, because it reduces enemies' defense to physical and magical attacks, as well as reducing the cost of the book. But for now, let's go with Mystifier relics, and let's see how she does. So as you can see, Monarch synergy triggering, and also our Shadow Arcs synergy triggering. Enemies are already down to 40% HP, which is excellent to see. So they're already down 40% HP, and we're just waiting for the corrode stacks to kick in as well. So as you can see, Athusa here, she's up to 12 stacks of corrode. We just need to wait effectively to see whether or not we get wiped out. So we get the shield from Talos here. Emily is confused, as is Dullahan, so no corrode stacks here, but Sandra to apply stacks of corrode and minimum HP. So you can see this Athusa here has nearly been taken out. Unfortunately, Monarch synergy kicking in there as well, but not enough to survive. We have taken most of them out, but we will lose the impact of Talos' shield, unfortunately. So we're just going to have to survive on healing following this. So as you can see, I think we would have taken out Athusa had we been able to increase those stacks a little bit more before our Talos got taken out as well. So as you can see, it does have quite a big impact. We already have them very low anyway, but it just stops them from healing all the way back up to full, and it sort of halts their progress. So it is something to keep in mind. Unfortunately, our units are out of sync at the moment, so we do have the confused status applied to us, which is a shame. But is what it is. This is just how these units do roll. Potentially with legendary talents increasing the crit rate, you can potentially see, sorry, not the crit rate, the control resistance rate, we might have avoided the confused status. So we get Seahorse, which is taken out immediately, unfortunately. But we do have some survivability here with 3 Shadow Arcs, as long as we get these dodges in. So as you can see, Seahorse not getting a chance to survive and activate its skill, but it is what it is. So we are nearly there. So the Shadow Arc synergy helping Sandra survive, and as you can see, she's currently one of the last standing, and the Seahorse is taking a lot of flack there as well. Now I don't think there's a limit on how many Seahorses she will summon, it just depends on how many attacks she can do. So another Seahorse here. We'll get Holy Shield stack with the bow on Sandra herself, but unfortunately not able to do enough damage. with this current setup to clear the stage, unfortunately. Yeah, so Sandra down, and just Franz left over now, who unfortunately won't be able to do enough damage to take these units out now. So go straight down. And that's it. So that was Sandra's abilities. We didn't really intend to win with that setup specifically, mainly because there's Franz in there and because there's Emily in there. For me, changing out for Catherine and Astrid might be a better showing. So we can try that again, because effectively it was showing us the Shadow Arc synergy as well. So if we take out Franz and Emily and we pop in Astrid and Catherine, and we'll see if we can do any better with this setup. So again, we've got our Monarch synergy. I don't have Astrid up to 3 stars, so unable to activate a 4 Monarch synergy build, but we've just got the 3. But we do have the Deviant synergy. As you can see, we now have Holy Shields. Applying Vital Drain as well, really impactful.
Justice descends. Let the blood stain the sea. Let the hunt begin.
So as you can see, without Franz or Emily increasing the stack rate, not able to take as much effectiveness with with Sandra's ability. So bow activation, get the Holy Shield trigger. As you can see, we're about the same level as before. It's just that confused status. Sorry about the weird interrupt there. Life stuff got in the way, unfortunately, so I needed to cut it a bit short. But we will now go and check out a different Shadow Arc team. So let's go in. And let's see how effective Sandra is without the Monarch, without the Mystifier synergy. So we'll put her in, go into Shadow Arcs, and let's go with, because it looks like, to be fair, you could probably build a very effective Shadow Arcs team here, just like this. And if you do have, you could probably put Percival in there if you do have him. But let's go with, Solomon, and just see how this one works out. I don't expect this to be very effective, but if you bear with me, it may be really effective. So we'll have a look and see if we can get to the end of the 15 rounds. So as you can see, corrode stacks being applied at the start of battle reduces health by about 40% for each enemy unit. Very effective skill. And then what we'll do is we're going to build a Shadow Arcs team directly after this one, without any or only Sandra's skills here. So as you can see, it looks like all enemies are down below 50% health, which is a big deal, but unfortunately they're only able to have a certain amount of corrode stacks applied, as you can see, 10 being the current limit here. because there's no real other unit besides your Dullahan, who does increase the stack limit for corrodes, which is a real pain. If Sandra did that on her passive, it would make things a lot easier, eventually getting them all up to 100%, but again, and not doing too much damage here. Maybe it's just the way I build Mystifiers. You know, I don't think it's my star level. I think all of my units are up to a reasonable star level. Sandra being 10 stars, Franz being 11 stars, Emily being 12 stars, Bastet being 13 stars. See, she's applying the corrode stacks. And we are doing some damage, but as you can see, it's just not enough. Yeah, so we'll leave it there. And we will try a Monarch synergy next. So this will be Sandra without any of her Mystifier buffs. So if we go into Monarch, we could use these two. And if I did have Astrid, we could have the 4 Monarchs there as well. But we're not going to. We are going to put in we're putting you 2. So we do have the full 5 Monarch synergy. And we will keep 3 Mystifiers here, but what you can do is potentially something along these lines.
I will enjoy this. Their nightmare has come.
In fact, I think we will. I think let's try this. Let's try Sandra without any first, and then we'll switch around and see if it makes a difference. So we've got the Monarch, the Deviant synergy and the full 5 Monarch synergy as well. So we shouldn't be able to take any more than 30% HP per instance of damage, which will be very good against the opposing Sals as well. So with a unit like Lily and Leah, they increase all stacks up to 15%. So attack boost, defense reduction, and also if you have exclusive runes, increases the number of defensive stacks as well. So just something to keep in mind. So unable to take any more than that 30% damage, which is really coming very handy. You've got some healing buffs going on. And this team doing, in my opinion, it's doing much better than the previous other teams as well. So I don't think we're going to get the complete on this mission, but showing how effective she can be, even taking off that 10% health of enemies overall. The damage reduction, I think, will really impact how Sandra performs. So getting those exclusive runes for her can be very important if you do want to run her quite frequently. So getting the stun off here, telling us what a unit. Unfortunately only 1 turn stun, but has saved us a fair amount of damage as well. So as you can see, Monarch synergy performing very well here, allowing us to take a lot less damage than we normally would have. So we get the full shield effect here, although enemies effectively back up to full.
Let the blood stain the sea. Tremble before the storm.
There you go. Not really seeing the seahorse activation pop up too much, just because it does keep getting wiped out, but taking the damage off our team is a very effective way of avoiding really big hits. So enemies getting some heals. We get our scythe, increasing damage and attack, then avoiding those big hits there from Sal, reducing the damage down as much as possible.
Let the blood stain the sea. Tremble before the storm.
So as you can see, a long match, and I don't think we're going to be able to get to the end. Potentially now, but again, I don't foresee us getting to the end of this one. Let's see, yeah. So 2 remaining, still a loss there. So let's take out Lily and Leah, and we will put in Talos. So we've got Marcia, Talos, Dullahan. So Dullahan, Marcia, or Macaria, giving the Deviant synergy, and then Telenas and Talos providing the other type of synergy, Divine synergy. And Sandra here just to provide the 5th Monarch, and also get that health down as much as we possibly can, because we're not going to be doing anywhere near as much damage. Oh, we might be doing a bit more damage actually with Talos' passive, but again, Lily and Leah, really, really powerful unit.
Let the blood stain the sea. Tremble before the storm.
So as you can see, very similar, but we will also be able to see the damage increase from Talos' passive as well. His passive, just in case you don't know, is every time corrode damage is done, deals an extra 50% corrode damage. But again, because corrode is quite a weak mechanic, because it doesn't do, it does. It says it looks like it does a lot, but I promise you, it really doesn't do enough. See, we just made redundant. So yeah, I think that will be it. We'll call that a video. We've seen what we needed to see from gameplay for Sandra. If you do have any comments, if I've missed anything, please do let me know. As you know, I do really appreciate any feedback that can be given. And if I'm wrong, I don't want to lead others down the wrong path. I do like to be corrected because it's a learning experience for me. So yeah, very selfish of me, but please do leave a comment if you've got any opinions, anything you want to discuss. And yeah, if you can like and subscribe, it'd be appreciated. You have a good day. Thanks for watching.